Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of the series. Today we're gonna finish the robot arm and we're gonna do it with something very special called an animation test. So let's get to it. This is where we left off. Our full controllers are working and everything is looking very nice. And the animation test is something that I recommend for all of you riggers out there that want to present your portfolio in a better way. Whenever you present your portfolio as a rigger, the thing that people are looking for is making sure that the rig works as intended, right? However, it's very difficult to just like send the rig to someone, make him open it, make sure everything's connected, and then try it out. It's better if we can do a little bit of an animation test. And you've probably seen this before in the Disney and DreamWorks like making of movies. You're gonna see that they do like some weird movements like jumps, raising the arms, lowering the arms, like bending the character one way or another. Those are the animation tests that you want to see to make sure everything is working as intended. So we're gonna do something very simple here. The first thing I want to do, and this is something that we can actually include with the rig scene file, we can grab all of the controllers one by one, or you can also go select all by type NURBS curves, and that's going to select all of the curves. And we're going to create something called a quick select set. So I'm going to go into create, set, and I'm going to say a quick select set. And I'm going to call this a robot arm. That way, anytime we need to select all of the controllers, they're going to be just right here. So it's very easy to just select them here. It's an independent part of the thing. Like the actual curves are over here. This is just like a reference. And one of the cool things about this is if you've seen our animation course, you can actually go into select, quick select sets, and you can press Control Shift click to create a little button here that will automatically select everything so that we can keyframe them a little bit easier. So I'm going to go here into show and I'm going to hide the joints. I don't want to see the joints. I just want to see the character here. And this is a robot. So we're going to do a fairly long test. So I'm going to say like 600 frames. And what I want to do is I want to see the full range of motion for the thing. So we're going to start simple, meaning I'm just going to select all of the curves. And in frame 1, I'm going to press S. And then in frame 100, I am going to start moving him. So let's move him to the right. And then all the way to the right like this, and then let's like bend him over a little bit and move this thing like this, and let's keep this thing like stabilized, or let's go like this. So now if we check the animation, we have this, and then we can have the opposite. So I'm gonna go back to the origin in another 100 frames. So by frame 200, I'm gonna go back to so it's gonna be like 1, and then here, very important to select all the curves before we do this. So let's do this. Select all the curves, and then from frame 1, let's go to frame 200. Hit S, so it's gonna be like, okay, we go there. I'm gonna hold the pose for just a couple of frames, so like 10 frames. So I'm gonna select this frame right here, and then middle mouse button click on the next frame right here. That way, this guy like holds the pose for a little bit, and then it just comes back. And then I'm gonna make it go to the other side. So let's rotate to the other side. Let's rotate. In this case, we're going to go up. Or rather, I think that one's fine. I'm just going to leave that one there. We're going to go up here. We're going to go up here. And I want to rotate the whole little head here. So first I'm going to just go S there, and then in like another, let's say 80 frames or something, I'm just going to grab this guy. And let's rotate it so that it shows that you can rotate the little head. Let's do 360 degrees so that it goes back to the origin. And then after that, I want to do a little bit of like opening and closing of the fingers very fast. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to grab the 3 fingers. Let's open it up. And then very fast, we're going to close them. And then again, very fast, we're going to open, we're going to close, and then over here I'm going to return this to its original position, to 0. So while this thing is doing it, it will do like back. You can see that, like those little tick, and then it goes back. And then by frame, let's say 540, we're just going to select all of the curves, and we can zero them out one by one on all of the axes. And we should be going back to the beginning. So 600 frames are, if you make the quick calculation, I'm really bad at math, so that's 25 seconds, which is fine. 25 seconds is fine. Now, later on in After Effects, for instance, we can just compress the video if it's a little too long. But I think this is going to be fine. So we have this. The crane moves over there. I think it's a little bit slow, so I'll show you one way in which we can make it a little bit faster here. So yeah, it's a little bit slow. But you can see the whole animation, right? Like we see the whole range of motion that we have available with the little guy here. And that's more than enough for animators and for anyone seeing our rig to appreciate how much range of movement we're going to have. So how can we make this a little bit faster? Very easy. I'm just going to press Shift, click, and drag all around the character here. And I'm just going to compress this all the way with the outer arrows here. Let's compress it to like 300 frames. Let's see how this looks. There we go. That's a little bit better. We have this very robotic-like motion. The little guy going like everywhere and doing its little action. There we go. And we go back to the beginning. So as you can see, it makes it look very, very nice. And one of the cool things about this is we can, of course, render this. We can create a little render for this character, and that's going to make it look a lot better. So I already have the lights right here, so I'm just going to go here. I'm going to create a plane. I'm going to assign, it has the Lambert. The color that we're seeing there is just the HDR. Let me find one good shot, because this motion right here is very important for me to appreciate. So I think this is a good shot right here, because we see the side of the crane. It goes there, it goes there, it goes up, it twists, and then it goes back down. So that's perfect. And we know that we're only going to need 300 frames. So we say 300 frames. I am going to create a camera. I usually like, whenever I do this, I like creating a camera. That's going to be my shot cam. It's going to be the camera that we're going to be using to, of course, shot through. We're going to say look through selected. Here, panels, look through selected to jump onto the camera. And now we need to frame our composition. So something like this. Make sure that at any point throughout the animation, you see the whole thing. Very important. Something like this, I think, works fine. There we go. That looks good. Now this plane, I'm going to try to align it to the camera. And I'm going to grab the back part here, back edge. Just move it up, and move it up. If you haven't seen, I did a video for the YouTube channel. You should check it out, which is called how to do a professional render. I think it was called something like that. There we go. And now I am going to delete this ambient light. That was just to fill in the light a little bit. Let me save this real quick. I'm going to go to my options here. And in the system, since I have a NVIDIA GPU, I can use GPU. If you don't have it, you are going to have to use CPU, which is just slightly slower. I'm going to go Arnold and render. And let's see how this looks. There we go. So not bad, but also not perfect. As you can see, it's a little bit dark. So I'm going to go to my AI Skydome light. Or rather than that, I'm actually just going to add a new light. So I am going to say Arnold light, area light. And let's just add like a big area light coming from the top here. Exposure, you usually are going to be using a high exposure, something like that. I have, that's one of the cool things. The lights inside of Arnold actually work really well in the Viewport 2.0, so you can see a very nice preview. It's not going to be perfect, as you see. It's not exact, but it's going to get you there. So I'm going to say 12, probably like 11.5. There we go. That's a little bit better. One thing I can do is I can reduce the spread. That way we're only seeing the, or we're giving more like importance to the crane right here. That looks very nice. And now it's just a matter of upping up the samples so that we don't have such a grainy image. So I'm going to go up here to the Arnold renderer, adaptive sampling. I'm just going to enable. I'm going to say max camera 20, adaptive threshold 0.015. That's like, those are not super high numbers, but they're rather high. So as you can see, it's going to take quite a little bit of time. Another thing that's really going to help, of course, is the size of your image. So if we have a bigger image, the grain is going to be smaller and therefore not as intrusive. So let's just do this. There we go. Now, one thing I've always told my students, and hopefully you already know, you've seen other of the courses, the lights, if you have a very big light, you're going to have very soft shadows. If you want harder shadows, the light has to be smaller. That's just something that most renderers nowadays do to try and make it a little bit more artist friendly. So as you can see there, the exposure is not really like changing that much. But if we have like a really, really small light, you're going to see a very hard shadow there, which might look a little bit nicer. So I'm just going to make it slightly bigger, something like this. And there we go. So of course, render will take a while. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how you're going to be rendering this sequence so that you can import it into your portfolio or whatever you want to show. And it's actually very, very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your options here, change the type of file that you want. In this case, I'm going to export in JPEG because I'm not going to do any sort of color correction or anything. It's just going to be as is. And I'm going to change here the frame and animation extension. I'm going to change this to name, number, and extension. That way I'm going to get robotarm_rig.001.jpg on your project that you set up previously. You want to render from frame 1 to frame 300. That's what we're going to be doing. And now if we jump into the Maya render view, this one right here, the little icon with the eye, you're going to say render sequence, option box, make sure shotgun is selected, make sure the frame is correct, and then you just hit render sequence and close. Now, if you want to optimize this as much as possible, the one thing that you definitely want to do is I will definitely like hit play here and just wait and see how long it's actually taking to clean up the image until a point where I feel like it looks okay, it looks clean enough. So it probably will take about a minute. So if you think about it, a minute for 300 frames is going to be 300 minutes. So that means that it's going to be 5 hours, right? It's 5 hours of render time that you're going to have to wait. Of course, I'm not going to do that right now, but later on, probably overnight, I usually leave it overnight, I would render. Now, see here, like at this point, I think the noise is fine. So I'm just going to stop it right there. And that was 12%. So that means that I probably can lower this to like 8 samples per camera and something like a 0.05. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit noisy, but it's going to be fast. And since this is just a demonstration, or for demonstration purposes, I think that's going to be fine. So you can see how the percentage here is moving a little bit faster. And as soon as it hits 100%, which I'm assuming it will take about a minute or maybe even less, we should have a fairly clean image that's going to look nice. If it's way too noisy, then you might want to increase the camera samples here. As you can see, I'm happy with this, especially at full HD. Like, you're never going to see it at this distance. This, as you can see, is 399% of zoom. If you go to 100% of zoom, the 1:1, this is what you're going to see on screen. Like, this is what you're going to see. Sorry. This is probably what you saw even in the intro video. So there is going to be a little bit of noise, but the movement and the things that we're looking for are going to look just nice. So it only took... oh my god, 33 seconds. So it's gonna be half that time of what I was expecting. So that's perfect. Now, if you want to do the render yourself, this scene is gonna be... oh my god, it's allergy season over here and I'm totally losing it. Sorry, I apologize for that. But again, if you want to use this render scene and try it out for yourself, feel free to do that. I'm probably gonna be using this same render scene for all of the other rigs that we're gonna be doing. So one way in which you can save the scene without saving the rig is the following. I apologize. I'm sorry about that, guys. This is probably the first time that I've gotten this sneeze attack during one of my recordings, and since all of the information is really good, I really don't want to cancel it. So I'm just gonna show you here real quick, or actually, sorry, let's leave it right here. I'm gonna go and take my medicine. I'm gonna make sure that the sneezes are off for the next couple of videos. And I'll show you how to clean this render later on, how to reutilize this render scene for some of our other rigs. So that's it for tonight or for today for this video. I'll see you back in the next one. Bye-bye.